All right, here we are again. Welcome to the clusterfuck. It is Sunday afternoon, and we have a great show for you. Except for we were on the wrong intro. We were literally on the screen. Then I'm going to present some information to you in a little bit. So buckle down here, guys, today. Before we get into the spooky topics and the serious topics and the MK Ultra topics today, I'm going to remind everybody who's listening to please click those thumbs up. We are live right now on YouTube, Rumble. We are live on Substack, and I believe we're live on Twitch. And of course, if you're listening later on the audio podcast platforms, which will be mainly iTunes and Spotify, of course, don't forget to give us a thumbs up or, 5 stars. Give the show a 5 stars and subscribe and follow on whatever audio podcast platform you're listening to. And go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe there because you get all the visuals on the YouTube platform. The visuals are there for you to enjoy. It's the best place. You can also become a member on the YouTube channel for as little as $2.99 a month. You can give super chat, support the show, help me pay for all this stuff that goes into it and all the time. I really appreciate it. And of course, if you cannot afford to do that or support the show, thumbs up, reviews, 5 stars, sharing content, you can do that for free. It takes maybe a minute or two of your time, and I really appreciate it. All right. Let me know that the sound's going good. I caught the sound at the last second. It was hooked up to another microphone, and I'm like, oh, just check it while the intro was playing. And there it was. It was not hooked up to my actual podcast microphone. So I corrected that like 25 seconds before we came on. Whoo-wee. Tara Jackson's in the house, sent some silver stars. Thank you so much, Tara. We have Kirby, welcome. Incognito, welcome. Dorothy, welcome. Jonicides around, welcome. Very interesting show tonight, of course, and because we are going to be talking about Mall World. We'll be doing that in the second half. We'll be talking about Mall World and Backrooms. They tie into each other. Really interesting. Is it psychic phenomena, ghost story phenomena, alternate worlds, dimensions? Is it linked to these Gate Kid programs? We'll discover that in the second half of the show. Really, really spooky stuff. Reminded me of some art. Backrooms reminded me of some art installations that I was doing in '96 in Alberta College of Art and Design. It was really, really bizarre and spooky. I think I spooked the shit out of people. Maybe I was ahead of myself. I sound gravy. Good. Gravy's good, so it must be good. I like gravy. All right, but we're going to cover some updates here. We got some weird stuff to talk about with Hayden Panetierre, the actress who recently passed away. I did a mobile live stream of her, so go check that on the YouTube channel. It was a YouTube exclusive live stream only, and we talked about her and postpartum depression and the mysteriousness of her death. So we're going to start with updating that. Then we'll get a little bit into the Lindsay Clancy mass psychosis that's going on. This always happens with court cases, apparently, in America. Tara Jackson said she's been to the Mall World. Well, we're going to get into it because there's some interesting, maybe it's the new collective consciousness, the collective consciousness for GATE program kids. It could be. But let's start off with a little Hayden Panetierre. Because, things aren't so cut and dry with Hayden. They arrived at her apartment in South Carolina. She was pronounced dead, but there's a whole bunch of mysterious, strange circumstances surrounding Hayden's death, including the psychotic boyfriend that she had, who was at the scene, handed them a bag of drugs. And so apparently now there's multiple medications she was on. When I talked about her initially, I talked about her being this child actress since she was 11 months old, having, been pushed into drugs, given like amphetamines at 15, all this crazy stuff that happens when they're groomed in Hollywood. Then going, into her adult career, working for Neutrogena letting her go because she talked about postpartum depression, her losing custody of her daughter because of postpartum depression. And this is obviously going to tie into the Lindsay Clancy stuff later. But, probably the best thing she did was not have custody of her daughter, considering, all the chaos in her life. And she was talking to people, she was being interviewed by people, just really strange stuff. She had released a book just before she died, like several months before, exposing certain things within the industry, talking about the abuse, talking about being trafficked on a boat out in the middle of the ocean to like a really famous British pop star. Just really crazy, crazy stuff that happened with her. And now this boyfriend that she's been with, and apparently a lot of people were trying to tell Hayden Panetierre to, get away from this guy, get him away because he's toxic. It was in and out, multiple domestic violence calls to the police, crazy outrunnings. And I don't even know, there was a clip of this guy talking about her. Was he being interviewed by TMZ? I'm going to see if I can find it. He is creepy as heck. Just really bizarre. Yeah, I've got it right here in this clip. We're going to check it out. I want you to check this guy out. For all we know, he could be her handler. He was a aspiring actor who just obviously didn't have a successful anything, and he was living off of Hayden and her fame and the constant domestic violence, and he just creepily refers to Hayden as a Sunday girl. Just really weird, crazy, only ways you would think if you're a junked up loser in Hollywood. So we're going to go check that clip of him out. And then Ryder Lee, who was on our show the other week, you can go check that episode out. He was talking about this and all the weird blood rituals and imagery that comes out of Hollywood with Ariana Grande, with Perez Hilton, all of these people that we've talked about on this show. Very bizarre. Let's see if we can go find this. I want you guys to see this boyfriend that was at this boyfriend and his brother. Boyfriend is Brian Hickerson. I want you to see this interview he did with them, slurring his words all creepily. Could he have been the handler of hers? Let's see. Let's close down the ads. There they are there together. But I want to... They're playing an ad. It's just kind of on. Here we go. That's not it. That is not it at all. Let's see if we can find this. It was a clip specifically where he's talking creepy ass and he called her a Sunday girl. Let's type in the word Sunday girl and see if something shows up. Hayden Panetierre's boyfriend gave her Narcan before her death. There it is. Got it. Let's check it out. Can we see? It's not even showing up. Hold on. It seems like let's share the screen and see if this actually shows up this time. It cleared off my screen. There we go, guys. All right. Let's see if we can get this. They always have all these adverts. That's how they make money. So we can't be too... Let's check this out.
You and Hayden first started dating in 2018, and it's been a very public relationship. Is there anything you want people to know about you and Hayden's relationship?
Hayden Panetierre is the sweetest thing in the world.
That's her boyfriend, guys.
It's
On
not
and
about
off.
who you spend Saturday night with, it's who you spend all day Sunday with. And Hayden Panetierre is a Sunday girl.
Do you think it's better for her to not be with you?
I think that Hayden is one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life, and I would be an idiot not to walk away from her and let her flourish in her career. So, we probably wouldn't be good together. I'd like to see what she's gonna do with the next like 30 years of her career. She's, she'll always hold a special place in my heart, and I hope the same for her. But yeah, we're just good buddies.
Good buddies. Good buddies. That was her
Princess
boyfriend.
Diana's death has unanswered questions. Now see the car crash from new
All right.
perspectives.
He loses all control.
Let's turn that off. Good buddies. They're just good buddies. That is the ex-boyfriend. That is how he was talking on TMZ. He sounded high as a kite. That is who she was spending her last moments with. As he had said, when was that interview? That was goodness, they're hoping me all around here. That was probably I'm trying to find when it was, but this is not behaving. That was like a week ago. That was just before her death that he gave that interview. I just I have no words for it, and it just sounds like he met her when she was really young and she was trauma bonded to him and they had an abusive relationship. Was he your handler? Maybe we'll never know. But one thing we can say for sure is something is really suspicious. There's more than just one substance in her system. Apparently, there was multiple substances in her system. The boyfriend administered Narcan to her, leading up to her demise. And people are talking about this. She was the same age as Marilyn Monroe when Marilyn Monroe died, and there was some. Where do we go now? There was just some creepiness going on here in terms of what people were talking, what people were saying, and some of the stuff she even said as a child. It's almost like a premonition. Let's go back. Now, I've researched Hayden, and it would seem that there was no special schooling that she went to per se. She went to public school when she was young, and then she homeschooled as she got older as a teenager, probably as she got busier working. But that doesn't mean they weren't MK Ultra. That doesn't mean they weren't processed as they went through all of these shows. I got a slew of TikTok stuff to share with you guys today. So we're going to stay on TikTok for a bit, I think, and check out. Here it is. This guy thinks that Hayden foreshadowed what would happen. Now, I was hearing, what's his name? Coach Collins talk about her possibly being this special gate kind of student, but I can't find evidence of it. But we know most of these poor Hollywood children are groomed in some way and educated and kept in around certain people. It'd be interesting to know Brian Hickerson's past and how it is that they met and he got influenced into her life. And it seemed like she just couldn't let go at the demise of her own relationship with her daughter, being able to be a parent, demise of all of her other professional contracts. I think one of the reasons she wrote the book that she did was because people didn't want to work with her because of substance abuse. But then this is what they do to them in Hollywood. And they start this when they're really young. They started giving her drugs so she could go on her happy tour, 14, 15 years old. And then this interview here shows her almost foreshadowing something.
I came across this interview of a 10-year-old Hayden Panetierre, and it gave me chills. If you don't know, Hayden recently passed away, 36 years old, from cardiac arrest, which they suspect was from an overdose. But she's doing press in the year 2000, 10 years old, for the movie Remember the Titans. An amazing movie. Listen to what she says about the character that she plays.
I play Cheryl. She died at 35 of heart failure, and when we heard that, we were just like shocked. Me and my mom were sitting there going,
yeah, isn't that amazing?
Really sad.
I came across this interview of a
Okay. Weird vortex. Are we in a weird, strange world? Maybe we'll never know, but something really odd. People are a little bit disturbed by all of this revelation, by all of this, I don't know, creepy coincidences that she plays a character that dies pretty much within a year or so of the age of her own death. Marilyn Monroe died at 36. There's also you get the 27 Club, you get 33. I mean, this could all be irrelevant. It could be coincidence, or there could be some weird program that's playing out in this reality. I don't know for sure, but it's awfully bizarre. We need to get more on Brian Hickerson. We absolutely do need to get more on Brian Hickerson, because I think he was some kind of handler. Because clearly he's, her little daddy of sorts that she just can't keep away with, that keeps giving her the stuff. I mean, at what point do we get to just drug everybody up all the time and not sort of question where the drugs are coming from? And half the doctors, like if you go and look at Michael Jackson, in that case, they're just given a tap on the wrist. They're put in jail for a couple of years. And then they come out and they write a book about Michael and me, my last moments before I killed him. Crazy, crazy ass stuff like this that's going on in our world. It's going on still. I don't expect it to stop anytime soon. And why would it, since we are continuously purchasing their product? Which is these people. These people are products. We live in a world where we are not humans. We are not connected. We are products. And it's a sad reality. A sad reality for young girls. So now we're going off to Ryder Lee, because Ryder Lee has made a really interesting connection about all this Perez Hilton. He's connecting the dots between all of this stuff and these kind of weird death rituals, blood rituals you see in music videos where it's Ariana Grande or some other performance. There's some kind of strange ritual that he feels that they're doing that's connected to ancient rituals that they do as, I don't know, some sort of ancestral magic. Let's check out what Ryder has to say, and then we can kind of dib in on it.
Something really strange is going on, and it seemed to be kicked off with the Perez Hilton video. It kind of looked identical to Ariana Grande and her new music video, Pedal. Yeah, it looked almost exactly like this right here. It's strange because the video gives you an Evil Dead vibe and a Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre is getting remade by Curry Baker, the viral social media influencer that made the hit movie Obsession, in which also bears a resemblance in the final act. Also interesting thing was that Perez Hilton's last few videos were about Ariana Grande. That's weird.
A lot of people care and are concerned about Ariana Grande. I would consider myself one of them. All of the chatter about her health.
I'd recommend looking into ancient bloodletting rituals where the rulers and elites performed ritual self-mutilation to communicate with gods and ancestors. It seems like we're getting out of the political assassination and more into celebrity and Hollywood deaths. And then we have the actress Hayden Panetierre, and not much is released about her death. She was just on a podcast talking about how she was abused on a yacht out in the middle of the ocean by a very famous British musician.
I was shocked. It took me by surprise. And it was led by somebody that I had grown to trust and see as a protector and somebody who had my back. And to be walked down the stairs, and it was as like a surprise, presented as though it was like a surprise. And it was this very small room, and she physically put me in the bed next to this undressed man who was very famous.
Her brother, Jensen Panetierre, also died of the exact same thing in 2023. Of some kind of heart complications. It feels oddly similar to the Brittany Murphy case. Something really strange.
Right. So the blood-letting rituals of Hollywood. And it's interesting that Ryder points out that he thinks we're leaving the political assassination arena and going into the Hollywood celebrity arena. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case. I think the fact that eyes are on the Charlie Kirk situation and yeah. I don't know if this is diversion, but it's interesting. It seems like little templates played out because you kind of had it in reverse before. You had like the Marilyn Monroes, the James Mansfields, all those kind of fatal deaths for different actresses. And then you had sort of a whole bunch of political assassinations after that. And then at the end of the 60s and 70s, you get more crazy celebrity deaths. It's almost like some strange cycle where they're like, let's play this out, let's play this out, let's play this out. And is it even the people playing it out? Or is it some subconscious template that controls us, that controls everything that we're unaware of? I mean, it's a really good question, but these really nihilistic, gory, graphic images produced throughout music video with lots of blood, lots of gore, really heralds back to these sort of blood sacrifice of a different era. It's like they're trying to call forth an energy from an era long gone. We're talking bull worship. We're talking Taurus. We're talking sacrifice to the gods era, right up into Aries. We're at the end of Pisces. We're into Pisces to Aquarius. This stuff is like not going to vibe. It's not going to chill anymore. It is not applicable, but yet they keep pulling it in and pulling it in. Nihilism. Like I said, every age has its shadow, and this is playing out with Hollywood. It's like Babylon revisited. You cannot, it doesn't work, and people are repulsed by it because we are not in that age. We are not in the age of the bull or the ram. We're soon to be leaving Pisces, as far as I know about that stuff. But yet they keep playing these rituals out. It's almost like it gives them some kind of power, some kind of sacrifice for celebrity, but like a deal, like a Faustus deal. Like, could have Perez Hilton done a deal? Could these people be doing deals with the devil and the pay is disfigurement? Because according to reports, Perez Hilton has years of repair ahead of him. I know that Hayden Panetierre's mother is not being perceived as a very good mother. She put her daughter in there at 11 months old. Did they do some kind of unconscious deal that they didn't know, that now that is your children? You have to give up, sacrifice your children. We'll never know. Maybe there's some unspoken deal that these stage moms don't even have a clue that they're making. They just think they're going in for some kind of, career for their child or living their fantasies through their daughters. We may never know, but it is bizarre that we have a cluster of deaths related to exposures, people writing tell-alls, related to drugs, crazy boyfriends that seem to be more like a handler than a boyfriend. We'll continue to follow up on Hayden Panetierre. But you guys can leave me your comments after or in the chat and let me know how you feel about this whole case and how bizarre it is. But we're going to ease on into the Lindsay Clancy case here. This is going to take me a bit because this one's a hot spot, and I know many of you are going to have your opinions on this, but I'm really going to get into the psychosis because it does involve mental health, prescription drug use, postpartum depression, and obviously the worst thing we can think of possible as mothers is that a mother ultimately murders her very vulnerable, very dependent children in some kind of outrage and outburst. And there's a lot of crazy storytelling going on all over the internet. And it really is a clear case. It's a very clear case. No one's denying any kind of murder in this Lindsay Clancy case. The dispute, the trial is focusing on whether she had a psychosis, and she's not guilty. She's pleading not guilty for murdering her 3 children. And she's not pleading guilty because she didn't do it. She's pleading not guilty on basis of insanity, on psychosis, saying she was not criminally responsible for it. And that's where it's hooking in. You've got all of these people on TikTok, all of these women, putting up the feminist banner saying her husband did it. There's not even dispute. No one's disputing it. She's not disputing it. Her defense attorney's not disputing that she did it. It's not even based on this. And we have this hysteria going around this women saying people are abusing her, her husband mistreated her, all this crazy, allegations, when these are, none of these claims are coming forth in the court case at all. So we're going to go over that. I'll tell you first what her plea and defense strategy is. Lindsay Clancy has pleaded not guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder for the January 2023 strangling deaths of her 3 young children. Cora, who was 5, Dawson was 3, and Callan was 8 months. However, her defense team has not denied that she killed them. Instead, they are arguing that she should not be held criminally responsible because she was suffering from postpartum psychosis, bipolar disorder at the time. Clancy's attorney have described her mental state as one of severe illness with symptoms including hallucination, suicidal ideation, and inability to control her actions. And if she's found not guilty, she could face an indefinite stay in a secure state mental health facility under Massachusetts law. Even if she's convicted, the mandatory life sentence without parole would apply. It's her defense. And what the prosecution's goal is to show that she was not out of her mind, that she was not abused, that nobody was forcing her, that she was in therapy, that, show things with medication, show that she strategized, shows that she plotted and planned this, and that it had nothing to do with a psychosis. And I think they're doing a pretty good job of showing that indeed she was not in a psychosis. And we can get into that later. But first, let's go back over to TikTok, and we'll get into the basis of this. What's really going on, and then I just want to go over, because this amongst feminists, sorry feminists, but some of you are not the intelligence feminists that we had in generations past. You're hysterical. Most of these women, and I gotta flip my notes over here because I've got a bunch of them. Most of these women are misinterpreting the evidence, framing her husband as abusive falsely. They're also, a big one is they're projecting their failed relationships and their own problems onto this case. Well, Jonna said her husband did so much to help her. Well, her husband actually did quite a bit to help her. I mean, he wasn't a neglectful husband. They're trying to portray him as much. But on TikTok, it's almost like the facts don't matter. Facts ain't faxing for these people, I guess. The facts ain't faxing? Does that even make sense? We got to go back to TikTok. We're on Facebook right now. We got to go back to the talk, because that's where we're going to go into the coverage. And then, of course, we will get into Mall World, the creepy Mall World. I don't want to go there. We got a whole bunch of stuff. So it absolutely gets crazy, and I'm going to find just a really straight up, here's the facts of the case kind of thing. I thought I saved it. Where is it? Is it this one here? No, we can't have that. That has music that we cannot put on this show. Darn it. Do I have it under my like tabs? I thought I had an actual news post about it, but it doesn't seem to be here. Okay, here we go. Here's the mental health counselor testifying. Lindsay Clancy showed no signs of psychosis. This is one of the claims. So let's start here.
Did you ever in this visit see signs of mania?
No.
And is that something you look for?
Yes.
And did you ever see signs of delusions or paranoia?
No.
How about psychosis?
No.
Would it surprise you to know that they indicated that they couldn't treat her as a woman with postpartum psychosis or postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety or any of that, because their opinion was that she was suffering from an over-medication?
It would surprise me, yes.
Did you ever in this visit see signs of...
Yeah. It would surprise her because people who interviewed her, talked to her, not only did they not see sign, even after she brutally strangled her 3 children, ran up the stairs, she kind of cut herself, not very deeply, and then she literally jumped out the window. And even after they interviewed her, she was really like, I need a lawyer. Showed no concern for children and was more concerned that she couldn't walk. She showed she doesn't show a lot of empathy or regret. What she shows in the courtroom is tactics that are meant to manipulate the jury. For instance, bringing her children's books and putting them on their desk there in the courthouse, trying to show that she loved her kids. Really cold kind of demeanor, and then bursting out crying when they're going to the part where they're describing in detail about how her kids died. It seems kind of like trying to drum up sympathy. I mean, I could be wrong, but there's not a lot of empathy there. She didn't show a lot of psychosis. And also, they have her intrinsically tied there. Some people are trying to say her husband did it and her husband pushed her out the window. Look, she's admitted she's done it. This isn't a trial against her husband, TikTok girls. This is not a trial against her husband. He didn't drug her. She's admitted it. They come up with the craziest stuff. They literally have her tracked because she's wearing her Apple Watch. They have her tracked at the house, going up the stairs. They can tell her movements, and they've got her husband at the CVS store picking stuff up for her. They've got him on CCTV camera right at the time of death, all of that stuff. They have it tracked. Yes, technology is handy, especially for something like this. And they can tell when she called him and said something to him, and they can tell when she hung up, and then when she did everything, and at the time of death, they know her husband was not there. He was literally picking stuff up for her. Crazy. And so, but all this logical stuff, all this really good evidence doesn't mean anything for these women. We're going to get into some of the videos that they're putting out, trying to frame her husband as abusive, because naturally everybody has to kind of project their own politics onto this. So if you had postpartum, that's got to be the excuse. Everyone abused her. She had postpartum. It's really tough, so it's, if you had a bad, these women, they have a bad relationship. So, bad relationships mean that because you had one, that her husband must have been that way too, because why else would a woman act that way? It's almost like people cannot acknowledge that women can be psychotic, psychopaths, evil, that they cannot do devious behavior, that is just unfathomable, which is really sad that they can't, because it's almost like if they do that, they have to acknowledge some of that is within them, and that's just a no, 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 no. And I'm more than willing to acknowledge that women have, huge mental health issues and can do bad things. And in fact, the only way to prevent yourself really from not being a bad, horrible woman is to acknowledge that everyone has the ability to do that, not to deny it. The more you deny it, the more you cannot recognize it in yourself. But I digress. Let's look at all these women gathering outside the courthouse, kind of like the Pussy Hat Girls, and defending someone for murdering her children, essentially.
Yeah, I gotta be ready. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Here they are. So they're all wearing pink. They're all gathering outside the courthouse, supporting her. And this one shows these women taking pictures with her lawyer. Like he celebrity lawyer. I don't want to play too much of that. I didn't realize they had Britney, but crazy is a good sound for it. They're literally taking pictures with her defense team, who I'm sure her defense team is probably the ones who told her to bring her kids books and stuff and set them up there so it doesn't look so suspicious. I'm pretty sure they're giving her this tactic because their tactic is they know she's done it. They're trying to see doubt about the intentions. They're trying to see doubt in the jury's mind about whether she's competent enough, whether she should go to actual prison or should she go to a psych facility for the rest of her life. And then, of course, this brings up the whole other gamut is about postpartum depression and whether or not we're treating women. And I 100% agree that we do not, in this country right now, have a good system for mothers who, are even working or have to go back to work, who are going on maternity. They want them back right away. There isn't a good system, and there probably isn't the knowledge or the ability to help women as effectively with postpartum depression. However, my friends, that does not dismiss your behavior as a woman just because you have postpartum depression. Now, according to the feminists, if you don't have a uterus, you cannot speak on this. So shut up, man. You're not allowed to have an opinion, even if you have the facts of the case. Not allowed. However, I do have a uterus, and I did have really bad postpartum depression, and I can assure you that at no point would have I ever have considered murdering my child. We can look at cases like the Susan Smith case, where she put her boys in a car and drove it into a lake and let them drown. And she was found guilty because there was a gamut of information showing how manipulative she was, right? And so they're saying she wasn't showing signs of postpartum. They're saying medication use. That could be true, but I think she had a long-running history of medical issues, and I think we might want to consider the possibility, I'm not diagnosing her, but the possibility that she could actually be a female psychopath, that's there, that's a probability, not that she's a victimized angel. I think we need to take multiple angles at this because lots of women have postpartum and they don't do this to their children. It takes a lot of fucked up mind to take an exercise band and strangle your children to death. 3 of them. And the defense, because it's a woman and not a defense of children, this is where women are going wrong. Okay, if she does have postpartum depression and they want to treat her in jail or whatever, fine, but it's like they're saying she is the victim. This woman is the victim instead of actually considering that she could be kind of like Susan Smith, who cried tears, who said, "Oh, my babies," all the same thing, but who's actually a psychopath. And he could, in no remorse in jail, nothing. has never improved or shown she had remorse for her children. There's many females who do things for strange reasons. Her husband spoke well of her. I mean, her husband did not speak ill of her. He said that she had been a good mother all along, that they had been, suffering with these mental health troubles, and he supported her. He had a nanny for her. He moved to working at home to be there to support her. When people are making the claim, she went to a facility or something, and it was just for a day trip. And they're mad because then he dropped her off and went skiing. But they're not reporting that he went skiing. He took one of the kids with him, and it was an event, a daddy-daughter event thing that they were doing, and he took the daughter skiing. He just didn't take off with the bros. So it is interesting how they're twisting this to fit their narrative that this guy is guilty, and there's just really no evidence that he's guilty. They'll say, oh, you weren't around for 2 days before you came home. Maybe he was working. Or they'll say he went out for brunch with a friend. He must be guilty. Like as if any of these pink shirt psychos have never gone out to brunch with a friend. And really, Lindsay at any time could have gone out for brunch with a friend. She had a nanny. She had access. It's not like they were poor. She didn't have to worry about the money. He said he'd pay the copay out of pocket, all that stuff. There wasn't a financial issue here. So all the stuff that they're painting of this abused women is just absolutely batshit clusterfuck crazy. It is just untrue. Now, if she has that, she's still responsible for it. She's still responsible for her actions. Was it drugs? Yeah. We had a guy in Washington State, Lucas says, that murdered all his 3 girls. You can look it up. And he deserves to go to prison for the rest of his life. We can't say, oh, well, he was having hormone problems. He had too much testosterone. So, those things just don't, work. Yeah. Ooh. He took off to Canada. Wow, lucky Canada. And anyways, I digress. We're going to go through some more videos showing witches doing curses against the husband, people coming up with strange ideas. We're going to go through a couple of videos because it gets ridiculous, humorous. Here we go. Here's a witch doing a curse against him. I'm going to mute that. That's that typical song that they always play, all the feminists. It says right on the video, doing a justice spell for Lindsay Clancy, because I know the truth will come out and the real villain will be revealed. Witches unite. And there's witches in there saying, I did an extremely powerful counterspell, so she gets the death penalty. And then people are saying, she's innocent, she's innocent. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And people are like, wow. Yeah. So they're doing a justice, like this is their spell. And it's so that her husband goes to jail, even though we know he didn't do it. I mean, just phenomenal. Where's the Lion King? The Lion King analogy was really good. They know that he's guilty because of a scene from Lion King. It was just, here it is. here's their evidence that the husband's guilty and not her. 8 seconds, gotta catch it fast. It says, to everyone who doesn't think Lindsay Clancy should be gaslighted into believing she killed her children, I present this. So they think we're gaslighting her that she killed her children. So there she is. And then they show a scene from The Lion King. This is evidence that she's being gaslit because it happened in The Lion King. Whew. It happened in The Lion King, you guys. Let's play that one over again. They show a scene from The Lion King. Scar is trying to make Simba think he is responsible for his father's death. They're comparing it to The Lion King. I mean, it just I don't know what to say. The guy that went up to Canada wasn't caught. That is messed up. They think he killed himself up in Canada. Yeah. Too bad they didn't get him before. And so I think a lot of people's criticism here isn't that it's just about that men shouldn't go for crime, but the criticism is there seems to be different standards for women, that we should be able to have equal rights, freedoms, which I agree we should, but then when it comes to crime, women should be able to get off because they have postpartum depression. I mean, could you imagine if a man killed all 3 of his children and then killed his wife and then said, sorry, I just have hormonal problems. I'm going through a midlife crisis. I was working 16 hours a day. I just lost it. I went into a psychosis and not held accountable. I mean, these women would flip out. So if you want to be a person in this society, you have to be held accountable to standards when you're violent. This isn't an accidental death. It looks like it was probably possibly planned. I can't say that 100%. It doesn't look like she just flipped out. It looks like there was some kind of plotting. They're saying because she jumped out the window. I don't know. It could be. I think they should consider that this is a woman who's a psychotic. Do you guys remember, and I can't remember her name, she was this blonde woman. I think Farrah Fawcett did the movie version of her, and I can't remember her name. She murdered her children in the car. I think one of them or two of them survived, and the other one died. And she took them on this long ride, shot them, and then shot herself to make it look like she'd been attacked by a black man or something like that. And then she went really slow. They tracked her. She drove really slow, trying to give it time so they would die, took them to the hospital and said she had been attacked. So the idea that someone could self-harm themselves or do something crazy like that to make it look like they were nuts so they could get something done is not unheard of. So I think it's Diane Downs was her name. It finally came to me, Diane Downs. I think we should consider these sort of figures like Diane Downs and Susan Smith, that there's a female psychopath. There's a template for it. And I think if she doesn't fit the criteria for postpartum depression, I think we should be looking at the psychopathic avenue for these women, instead of denying that women can be evil and then trying to smear her husband and make it look like he is guilty. This court case, and this is the last thing I'm going to say before we take a little mini break and get into spooky liminal spaces, you guys. But he's not on trial. She's on trial right now. He's not the one who is admitted to murder. She hasn't been drugged or induced. I mean, there's so much other criteria to this. She's on trial. The focus is, did she go into a psychosis and not know what she was doing? Or does she know what she's doing? I think she knew what she was doing. And I think she should be evaluated for being a psychopath. Potentially. That's it. I mean, there's other criteria, like he started a GoFundMe and raised $1 million after her death. He did. And him and his sister went and opened a postpartum depression, a nonprofit for women. With that money, they're saying, oh, he remarried 3 years later. So a couple of years after they divorced, as soon as this happened, after he meets a woman a couple of years later, and they're married. They just married. This event happened 3.5 years ago. So they're trying to use like he was having an affair. There was no affair. He met this woman way after this case. So men who lose their children, remember, he lost all 3 of his children. They deserve to go on in a relationship. You may not agree with it. Tough. It's not like he threw an event a week later after his spouse, did stuff. There are people who are really suspicious, who you would go after, but this guy isn't it. I have seen men who, within 2 months they have a mistress. That would be suspicious. That would be odd. I would kind of go after that one. But in this case, the facts just don't bear out. And so we're not going after him. It's particularly on her. So we're going to end that there. We're going to have a 5-minute little mini break. Don't go away. Don't close your screens. You need to get up and walk around fine. Don't close your screens because we are going into Mall World, MK Ultra, and Backrooms. Some creepy stuff. I actually got creeped out by the Backrooms, and I haven't seen that movie on Backrooms yet. I've watched a little bit on it, and we're going to go into there and see, why are all these gay kids, why are they all talking about Mall World? What collective strange things are the minds bringing forth? What is going on? We're going to take a 5-minute break. I'm going to go let the poochies out. Don't close your browsers. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe. 5 stars on the audio podcast, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. Here we go. everybody. We are back on the show. We're going to delve into right now a little creepy part of the internet, of the MK Ultra, a creepy part of the sort of gay kids that has a lot to do with spaces and your psychology and your dream and this concept of using spaces to psychologically manipulate, or dreamscapes that people who have been in these special gate programs, specifically the gifted and talented students sort of programs, and other kids reporting this sort of collective dream world that they call mall world, where they really go to repeatedly in different dreamscapes, almost like a place that's created where they go every night. Now, many people will say that they've been to this kind of dreamscape, this mall world, and whether or not, I don't know whether or not they are, or they were in this sort of gifted, talented students program, educational program. But there is this collective dream world out there in the ether. I'm looking up at the sky. Where it's like almost a reflection of either part of our world or part of something put into their minds. But it's like a labyrinth of never-ending mallscapes, where the idea is that they're like this environment that's been created. So the shared gate environment as a dream lab, and this makes me wonder if we're having all these ADHD and neurodivergent stuff is because of a lot of these experiments, and now they're putting it out there for everybody into the population to kind of make us cracked in the head so we can't focus. But it's a neurodivergent experimentation. Separate, sometimes dimly lit or soundproof spaces where students engage in unusual activities. Analogy worksheets, puzzles, chess with adults, puppet shows, creative projects. These environments, with their repetitive structures, fluorescent lighting, and isolation from regular school, may have left a sensory and emotional imprint that later resurfaces in dreams. Some dreamers interpret mall world as a symbol of consumerism, endless repetition, the endless loop of modern life. For gate kids who often felt both special and isolated, there was a loneliness to this. Same with the back rooms, like an isolated loneliness. The mall world represents a liminal space between normal school and a curated, controlled environment. And I'm going to tell you what a liminal space is, because this comes into play in the mall world, the back rooms, a lot of horror movies, even in your daily life. You can kind of psych yourself up. Liminal space is an empty space between where you are and where you are going. And all of the tension and horror is created at the prospect of entering that space between your current destination and your intended destination. What is there? What will happen? There's tension created there. You see it in many movies, especially horror movies. It could be a hallway. Me and my husband were at the VA at some hospital, and there was this, it felt like haunted, it felt spooky, and there was this long, never-ending hallways that you had to go down. And I mentioned that to my husband, like it felt like some kind of spooky, weird liminal space that you could get lost, like it all looked similar and the same. It was all connected. Very strange stuff. So we're dealing with a lot of psychology. It's a lot of Jungian psychology, Freudian psychology, where lighting, space, objects placement, constantly ever-changing spaces come into play for manipulation. I will point to one movie right away that uses liminal space and ever-changing space and lighting and spaces that don't make sense in the real 3D world, that they're ever-changing. One movie right away, right off the bat, that is filled with MK Ultra, and that is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. And Stanley Kubrick read a lot of Freudian psychology while putting together the premises and the components of The Shining. And there's a video out there on YouTube. I believe it's by Rob Ager at Collative Learning, where he looks at the space and how space was used and how it doesn't make sense, and how doing spaces like that where things appear out of nowhere, or they're there and then they're another place, and you can't make sense of it. You didn't see it move, but it's there. How it creates the tension, how it creates a dissociated feeling, a weird feeling that leaves you feeling uneasy and unsafe. And that is what you can kind of get from Backrooms and Mall World. And then the idea is it ties into these programs where they're playing with space, they're playing with lighting. Let's start with the image. Really, there was an image out there that was posted. I believe it was in 2019. And it was posted on... Hold up, I'll get you the image. You probably already know what it is. Yeah, it was posted on, not Reddit, but it'll come to me. I'm drawing a blank. Anyways, I'm going to show you the image right now, right up here. I'll drop it for you guys. This is a liminal space. This image, it's very Kubrickian. It's very, the hallway, it's like an abandoned, it was real, a real space. It's like an abandoned building, business, and it seems to have these never-ending turns. I'm going to type this in because I can't remember where it was originally found, and it wasn't on a server like Discord. You guys tune in because the word is evading me, but I'll type it up. So, was it 20? Some people are saying 2016. 4chan. That's it. I don't know why my brain couldn't think of the word 4chan. But yeah, this image was originally on 4chan. And from this image, this whole kind of backrooms, liminal space, even Mall World. Mall World's before that. You get people talking about Mall World a long time ago. And I even think that even when I was younger, I had a couple of dreams about mallscapes. And I've had repeated dreams about other kind of, psychological landscapes, for lack of a better word. But this is the original kind of imagery that spawned a lot of creepy pasta stories, a lot of stuff online talking about these back rooms with these creepy liminal spaces where you never knew was going to happen. And of course, that has transferred into a movie, like a psychological horror, liminal horror movie about these backspaces and what could happen and where you could go and if there could be a portal from them to some other world. And I don't know, I think when we do that, we create something very real in reality. But enough of me meandering on. Kind of listen to other people, because there's like, you guys are going to laugh. There's Mall World and then there's Toilet World. Like there's all sorts of these kind of psychosis. Office World, where it's like cubicle after cubicle of mazes ever changing. It's like some kind of weird representative of your psychology. So let's go take a look at Mall World here with this video.
There's this theory that all of the people who are dreaming about mall worlds are also people who were formerly in gifted and talented programs in school. And a lot of weird stuff went on in these programs.
What you mean?
A lot of people remember hearing tests. Headphones were put on our heads and weird little tones were played.
I remember this.
So the hearing test, pink drink, so a little couple pink stuff that we were supposed to drink. A lot of people were like, well, that was just mouthwash, but was it? A lot of kids remember being taken off campus to like weird locations.
I wasn't taken off campus.
That's good. But people will say that Mall World is implanted in the heads of children who were in this GATE program. Because GATE was like a CIA training program, essentially, or a screening program.
CIA screening program. Mall World was actually almost like a program put into people's minds. I wonder what would be the intention of this, because this is going to go into all sorts of movies. I have people talking about Blair Witch Project. Let's see what we say here. Genocide said, I don't know if I've been into Mall World, but I have dreamed a shopping area, not a mall, but a brick storefront with a kind of lounge, and I've been there several times. He says, I remember in 99, before seeing the Blair Witch Project, I seen that. I gotcha. I had to leave the theater because I got sick. Motion sickness, because I can't stand those, the camera moving like that. Anyways, he says, picking up a friend who worked at the mall and walking into the hallway behind the store, and she said, yeah, the back rooms, it was creepy. My wife really remembers the GATE program. I remember the test, but not much after that. Well, so I'm told your memory can be wiped, that you can compartmentalize things so that you're safe, that you couldn't handle it. I'm not saying that's you, John. I'm not going to project that on you. It's something you got to decide for yourself, but it's a possibility. Lucas has had mind-bending dreamscapes, but not Mall World. It sounds familiar, feels very familiar. I think when I was younger, I had a dream about a mall a couple of times, but I don't think I've had anything like that recently. I've had some reoccurring dreamscapes areas, but it's, and I won't say specifically what it is, but it's like some place that I think is the first house I owned, and I no longer owned it. But I'll go in there and it's my house, but it changes and then it's not my house, but I still think it is. And then I feel like I'm breaking. It's really weird. And it's a repeated dream that I've had multiple times. Very strange stuff. But there are people who have, it's not just a one-off nightmare. It's a repeated dream where they go into a certain area, into a certain building, into a certain mall. Psychosonic wants to know if it's US specific. I've not heard of it in Australia, but I can recall one dream that might be called that. It's a me. I don't know. I think if they think Mall World is connected to MK Ultra, it would depend on what level, because I'm pretty sure Australia had their own form of gifted and talented program. Let me see. Yeah, Australia is part of the global mall world phenomena where thousands of people independently report dreaming of the same surreal, impossible mall. The phenomenon is not limited to one country. It has been documented worldwide, with Australian dreamers sharing their experiences in online communities like r/mallworld and the Mall World platform. So, of course, Mall World has endless corridors, looping escalators, abandoned and non-functional stores, familiar but strange details like neon signs, echoing music, dreamlike linked spaces, infinity staircases, airports, schools. There's also Toilet World. You guys ready for Potty World? We're going to go through a couple of videos, but I got to show you guys. I got to show you guys Toilet World, because there's a place where people go and it's like, oh shit, I'm in Toilet World. I'm so sorry. I gotta find this one. Is it this one? I don't know. This might not be. That's not it. Where's Toilet World? Oh, don't tell me I didn't get Toilet World. I think I may have done the wrong one. Let's see.
A bunch of people were saying, oh my God, yes, I've dreamed about this mall called Mall World.
What is this? People meeting up at this place?
This is still Mall
Somebody made a
World.
video and said, hey, does anybody else dream about like the 1980s style shopping mall? And then that video went viral. And everyone's realizing that they're all dreaming about these same places. In the mall, there's the escalators that go kind of weird directions. There seem to be like two versions of the mall. The very like 80s coded neons. And that's often the mall that's very populated. But then there's a second version of the mall that is much more backrooms-esque, creepy, abandoned.
I don't want to go to that mall.
That mall's attached to Toilet World, and you really don't want to go there.
What the fuck is Toilet World?
It's not good.
All right. I'm going to show you guys a video. We're going to get into Toilet World. We're going to get into Toilet World because I'm sorry to say it, guys, but there is definitely a Toilet World, and it's weird. It's weird. I would have never thought I'd be talking about Toilet World, but here we are. I mean, look, I took my son to a water slide park one time. I'm surprised there's not a water park world. Endless water park slides where yeah. Anyways, I took my son to a water park world, and one of the water slides, he begged me to go down with him. He went first, and then I went, was called the Toilet Bowl. So yeah, I got sucked down like a giant turd, flushed into a bowl and into water, and my son laughed and laughed. He thought it was the greatest thing to watch me be sucked down a toilet like a giant turd. Thanks, son. I love you too. So here's Toilet World. Speaking of toilets, here we go. I did it for my son. Okay, that's a mother's love, being flushed down a giant water slide toilet. Where are we going here? There's no volume.
Trying to find a bathroom, or you're in a bathroom.
Okay, here we go.
Have you ever been to Toilet World?
No, what the fuck is Toilet World?
Have you never in your life had a dream where you're like trying to find a bathroom, or you're in a bathroom and all of the toilets are disgusting?
Never.
Many people have. That's Toilet World. And it's often attached to the spooky mall world. I think it's because while we're asleep, sometimes we need to pee. So your body's going to give you a dream where you're like, I need the bathroom and I'm trying to find it, but I'm not going to use this one and piss my bed because all the toilets are disgusting.
Y'all need to let me know if y'all have been to Toilet World before. Or Mall World. Let us.
All right. I have not been to Toilet World. Unless we're talking about the water park. We've not been to Toilet World. So, I don't know about you guys, but there be no Toilet World here. But it's connected to this psychosis. I don't know, maybe they have to go to the bathroom, maybe they don't. Maybe they're in this GATE program. Anna says, "Oh, the creepy mall. Yeah, I know that dream over and over again. The creepy mall. I think I've had the creepy mall dream when I was younger, like way younger, but not past 13. Not past 13. I haven't had it as an adult. I've had dreams of going into a house that's creepy or dilapidated or rotten, where I'm like, whoa. I wake up, I'm like, what was I trying to tell me? I also know that a lot of this stuff is art form. We'll get back into Mall World, and then we'll go into the back rooms. But actually, this dream kind of relates to this art project idea. Kind of relates to the back rooms. So maybe we'll just finish up Mall World and get into that, because it's very back roomy. I was doing an art project years ago, like before back rooms ever became a thing. I was doing an installation. It's hard to explain. I had this like slide projector that would go round and round. It was back in like 96, and it wasn't the technology we have today, like 30 years ago. And I was doing this installation in a room, and I was projecting this chair moving different places in the thing against the wall, and it was this yellowish room that felt like a liminal space. And I didn't realize what that was at the time, and I was doing this experiment. And when I looked at this sort of back rooms from Creepypasta, I thought, oh my God, I was creating a back room in my art installation when I was like 19, and I didn't even know I was doing that. It was really creepy, and the room was creepy too that I was provided to do it in. It actually just gives me the heebie-jeebies thinking about creating that. Wasn't the most successful project I have. I didn't do well on it because I needed more time. I think if today I had all the technology around, because I've done other digital installations when I was getting my graphic design. I showed them in a museum and everything, so I did really good. I think I could do it better. I think I could make that liminal space work. I might, I don't know, it could be scary. You could drive yourself crazy doing it because some of these liminal spaces, especially in the context of that movie Backrooms, is really creepy. And I can't show it to you. I don't want to ruin the premise of the movie for you, but I also don't want to get a copyright. But we're going to go back to Mall World and then talk about these sort of backrooms and this fascination with, what's it called? What are those other rooms, like trap rooms, or I can't remember what they're called. Fucking Gen Z, you're fucking my head up. Excuse my language. I found out about the backroom stuff. My husband mentioned it, but I first heard about it from my son, who went to see the Backroom movie, and I was surprised he saw it because he hates horror. So I was surprised. I'm gonna have to talk to him about that. But Mall
A bunch
World,
of people were saying, "Oh my God, yes, I've dreamed."
Mall World probably has backrooms. It probably is tied into all of this psychosis going on with our psychology. And I don't doubt that if it's also linked to, the way that the landscape of our lives are changing in modernity as well. We're going to replace this video. Let's see. What is this one?
There's this theory that all of the people who are dreaming about mall.
No, we've already done that one. There's a young girl who's talking about Mall Room, and she draws Mall World out. Let's go see what she's drawing. Let's check it out.
I dream of Mall World every night, and I made a map. Let me show you guys.
Okay, so this is like the full map. It's not very complete, but we'll start at the mall that's attached to like a hospital and a school and a parking garage. There's also the airport attached to the mall. And then back behind the mall, you have the amusement park, water parks, and like the literal ocean, cliffs. You can see it through the windows. You can see the ocean through the windows of the mall and the hospital. And sometimes you can see this in the background. Then there's the big theater attached to the mall, school. Everyone you've ever met is here in the theater. You have like an underground market, which is different than the mall. It's more like a flea market. There's infinite toilets. Anytime you have to use a restroom, it's like they're broken and they're all connected together. Next to the parking garage is like a really dangerous playground. And then you come to like the fairgrounds, the outdoor markets. There's like cabins. And then over here is like forest. And then outdoor concert and festival is going on. So this is like kind of grungy camping situation.
I gotta pause it because this would have to be the creepiest festival grunge camp ever, because usually these places are barren. Like it only has like building structures and old signs. The stores are emptied. So I'm assuming it's all just the structure. Like there's no interaction, there's no people there. So it would be a very peculiar concert event.
Campsites. Then we have the big non-functional highway that's kind of linking things together. It has abandoned cars on it. You have like walking caravans. You got people camping out.
All right. So there's her Mall World interpretation. And now we have a more, I don't know, we'll go for it. Like it's a psychological interpretation. This guy is a professional and he's going to tell you what he thinks happening with Mall World. And then we can get into whether or not we agree that is this real? Is this a real place where people are meeting? Is this an installed program in these GATE students' minds where they go to this place? Is there similarities? Is there differences? Does it change according to the person? Or is this just some kind of mass psychosis? Some sort of, what would Jung call it? A collective consciousness somewhere where we all go and we choose to go into this barren, strange mall world. Check it out.
So you've probably heard of the mall world phenomenon, where people dream of being in a sprawling maze-like mall, sometimes eerie and nostalgic, sometimes pleasant, sometimes abandoned, and of course there's a subreddit about it and lots of TikTok videos about it. If you're new here to the Imaginarium, welcome. I'm Eric Goodwin. I'm a psychiatrist with 20 years of experience, a published Jungian scholar. I've been talking and studying dreams for a really long time. I'm also a fantasy author, which I'll get to in a little bit. So in my most popular video, The Real Function of Dreams in Under 2 Minutes, I explain how most of the time the brain dreams in order to accomplish 4 main functions: memory consolidation, identity formation, emotional regulation, and future planning. And it does this by constructing metaphorical narratives. And one way you can get at the meaning of these is what I'm calling the #1 dream hack, which is to say, my life is proceeding as if this dream were true. Now, one of the major tricks that the brain uses to do its thing is to create imaginary environments to represent different aspects of our lives and our inner worlds. The brain is incredibly sophisticated, and while some symbols it uses are universal across all humans, others come from our shared life experience. This is the cultural level as opposed to the archetypal level. Now, this means that mall world dreams shared by thousands of people online are expressing a fundamental reality that they all have in common. But it isn't a literal reality, it's a symbolic, as if emotional reality, expressed in images. Indigenous hunter-gatherers from the Amazon wouldn't have mall world dreams, but then neither would Americans from the 50s, before shopping malls with department stores were a really big thing. But that doesn't mean that mall world dreams are just mindless repeats of experiences of malls. If that were the case, it would just be regurgitated memories, but they're not. These are all new experiences. And if we stick to the images, we'll see that the people having this dream are experiencing a fundamental shared but non-literal reality. That is, living in the modern world in which our culture is being hyper-individualized but superficially hyper-connected online. We're living as if we were all wandering around in an endless mall, getting lost, often surrounded with hyper-stimulating ads, flashy stores, tons of consumerism. It's a reflection of modern consumers' digital hyper-individualist culture. And it's pretty ingenious, honestly, and accurate in terms of metaphors. So then am I saying it's all nothing but this? No, I'm saying that it reflects a fundamental truth about modern society that can't be really better expressed. We can actually learn from these dreams because they reflect a truth about modern life that, well, that might be a little disturbing depending on your temperament, or maybe not. But let me know in the comments about your mall world dreams. And if you like my approach and you're a fantasy nerd like me, you can also check out my debut dark fantasy, King of Forgotten Darkness. The link is in the profile. And for a deeper dive, you can go to my website, ericgoodwin.com, and check out longer form stuff on YouTube at The Imaginarium.
Well, I never have. Like I said, I think I had a couple of them when I was younger. I can't tell you because I grew up in the late 70s and 80s, and there were malls in the 80s. Malls were a big thing. And when I had these dreams, it would have been like 87 to 89. So malls were huge, when I was young. So he could be right. But there is also this idea, and I'll read you this from the internet. It might be a real place in the sense of it existing quite literally, Lucas says, but not physical. Yeah, well, it's this is why I say these liminal spaces, this psychological. I don't think the CIA thinks that it exists physically. I think, or whatever agency is doing these kind of gate programs, I think they're going into the subliminal and into the place that doesn't exist, tapping into that to make you do certain things and behave certain ways. Do they want an assassin? Maybe. Do they want an Erica Kirk? Do they want a honeypot? Do they want you just to be complacent and stupid? I mean, it depends on their objectives. So for dream conditioning in the gateway process, the mall world theories link this phenomenon to verified dream conditioning research and the Monroe Institute's Gateway Process tapes, which explored remote viewing and altered states of consciousness. Proponents suggest that gate programs may have been part of a broader system of dream hijacking or consciousness training where participants were exposed to specific dream environments. So that's what these gate kids are trying to get at, that they've been exposed, conditioned. They do sorts of drug testing. They make you stay up. They do all the cards, seeing if you're psychic. There's all sorts of things that they do, the MK Ultra. They're testing, we know with MK often, they were testing for psychics, paranormal abilities, witchcraft, wizards, astrology, all that sort of thing to see what advantage this stuff would give them for having psychic soldiers, having, controlled assassins, having people that feel like they're normal, and then you trigger them like 10 years later to do something. Symbolism, emotional. The mall's endless escalators, looping exits, abandoned floors may symbolize infinite possibilities, lost opportunities. But one of the things that are most prominent about Mall World isn't necessarily that. It's there's an isolation, and that's the same with the back rooms. There's an isolation feel to them where people feel almost as if like they're alone, and it's like this desperation. They're trapped. There's no escape. Especially for these back rooms. Let's excuse me. I'm gonna see if I have another clip on Mall Worlds because I couldn't get everything uploaded. Right, we're gonna go to some more GATE student stuff. GATE students, this was Mall World, because it's interesting that the GATE students are really reporting this, that they think this is phenomena. Pirate Shipping says it is a thing. Yeah, it's a thing. She's saying, before we get into this video, she's saying, many, many malls incorporated within my dreams over the years, journaled over decades. I was also in search program in elementary school. See, another person who's in these GATE special programs that are having these. Like I said, I had a few as a teenager. They could be sleeper agents. There's multiple use for psychic stuff. And it just depends on what they are going for. I remember being in school and being tested with some of these things you hear, the cards, drawings, sounds, trying to say it's a hearing test. I think a lot of students went for that. Like I said, I got out of a lot of that because I came down really, really sick for a month with measles. And so I wasn't being tested anymore because I was at home. Thank the Lord. I came down with measles. We don't know. Like, if you go and look at the GATE programs and you go check out Ryder Lee's documentary on it, it's on Amazon right now. You can go get it and watch it. These programs popped up because the government was federalizing education. Education wasn't federalized before the 70s and 80s, I believe. They started to federalize educations because they wanted to get a handle on people and control them for almost like a national security reasons. And so before was it Carter that federalized it? Before that, you had education that was tailored in your specific schools. Everybody would have had a various different education, and it wasn't all this uniform federalized thing. So I think when you see that happening, and I think these GATE testings were probably going on long before that in smaller scenarios, but they explode into the classroom, into a national school system once it was nationalized, and you have these programs meant to test children. And this comes to the forefront big time in the 80s. Like, you see this coming up. It was there in the 70s, but it explodes in the 80s. And it's still happening today. Ryder Lee has received messages from people, reporting that they think their kids were being taken out of school without their permission, not on field trips in a van to different things, and they don't know what it was. So people are still reporting that things like this are happening, that they're looking for still more gifted and talented students. Look at these shootings and assassination attempts. A lot of these kids are high level intelligent kids. That one that got shot, they shot him dead. Tyler Robinson, highly intelligent, high IQ. Patsy type kids, with intelligence. They are scoping our children out and using them as assets to protect their interests. So who knows what they could be doing with this, and who knows if it is real that there is this world created. Pirate Shipping has had extensive experience with this, and so I don't think we should be like, nah, that's ridiculous. Everybody's just having a dream and it's connected. I don't doubt that they could put this in the mind, that they could put these scapes and experiment with this in your head. And if they have enough access to you, I don't see why not. We could be in some kind of weird, strange things, phenomenal world where, what was that called? Was it Project Montauk? Yeah, where they were openly. Psychosonic says, I wonder if dreams can be transmitted by tech. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that they can do stuff like that. I know that they have like headphones that now could probably read your mind. That's coming. Pirate Shipping says, most of the time, I'm very hesitant to dig deeper into my own life, but there are a bunch of things that are red flags. I avoid it because I don't know if I want to handle it. Sometimes sometimes some things are better left compartmentalized. It can be really damaging. That's why I don't tell people, hey, go. It's like, well, you've got to gauge that out for yourself. Because trauma creates psychic stuff. I'm quite convinced of that. And they know it too. That's why they traumatize children and traumatize people. It can create psychic abilities. It's the same with near-death experiences. They can create psychic abilities in people. So if you've compartmentalized something, I mean, there's no telling what will happen when those compartments are unlocked. And maybe that's what mall world is this part compartmentalizing that happened to these gay children, where they're going through things and trying to sort through what happened to them. I don't know. But there's also like meetups where people are saying, I've seen other people there as well. And we're all dreaming and we're meeting up. Very strange phenomena. We got another video on this. It's a little bit longer. We want to get into it. Bathroom dreams in mall world, and they're gross. They're not nice bathrooms. They're not a bathroom you want to pee in. They're not ones you'd want to use. They're ones you're gonna catch like the plague from. John Connor. Thanks for stopping by, John. If anyone remembers the Christopher Lambert film Fortress, there was tech that could look into a prisoner's dream and punish them for unauthorized dreams. Yeah, this is where they're going. This is where they want to go. That's why we need to push against all these data centers and all this shit that's out there. There's no doubt about that. Where am I here? I got to navigate my system. We're going to go to another screen. I got to duplicate that. Because we're going to go into a little bit more of mall world, and then we're going to get into the back rooms. Creepy pasta, creepy horror world. Let's go to this one.
The government ran a top-secret operation in your elementary school, and thousands of people from that program are claiming to share the same dream. While sleeping, they visit a place called Mall World. From the 80s to the early 2000s, schools across the US had a program called GATE, Gifted and Talented Education. They took the smartest kids out of class and brought them to a windowless trailer.
Shit, I wish they wouldn't have that music in the background. Let's go to this one for Mall World, because they're gonna totally nix me on that one. Copyright. It's a mall with no exit. Yeah, okay. That makes me mad that they did that with that video, because if I play that, we're gonna get in shizzle. We're gonna get in big trouble. No more. We could have talked forever about Lindsay Clancy, but we got some Joseph Smith. All right. It seems like we can't because they... Oh, here we go.
The government ran a top-secret operation inside American elementary schools. Parents were never told what really happened when their kids were pulled out of class. Decades later, thousands of people who went through that program are claiming the exact same thing. They all share one dream. While they sleep, they visit a place they call Mall World. It is not a metaphor. They say it feels more real than waking life. From the 80s through the early 2000s, schools across the US ran a program called GATE, Gifted and Talented Education. Teachers identified the smartest kids and pulled them from regular class. The parents were told it was an enrichment program. The kids remember something else entirely. They were led down empty hallways and into windowless trailers behind the school. No windows, no witnesses, just a teacher and two men in suits they had never seen before. Now the internet is piecing together the foggy memories. A subreddit with thousands of members is comparing notes on what happened inside those trailers. Almost everyone remembers the same detail: a pink drink, bubblegum flavor, served in a small plastic cup before the tests began. The official story was vitamins, but bubblegum syrup is a common way to mask medicine for children. No one knows what was actually.
Okay, does anybody remember the bubblegum flavored pink drink? I don't know that I was ever giving that. I'm trying to remember and I can't remember if I had that. But a lot of people talk about bubblegum flavored pink drink. It almost feels like they're trying to be like it's fluoride or something like that. Because they have bubblegum flavored fluoride. But why would they be taking you from school to have bubblegum flavored fluoride? Your parents can take you to the dentist. And why? There's a lot of people who are reporting this, you guys, who parents didn't even know they were going to these places and taking a school. If you're removing a child from school, you have to have the parents' permission, whether it's a field trip or something, a hearing test. You have to have the parents' knowledge that they're leaving. And a lot of parents had no idea that this was happening. And a lot of students' records in certain years, when they try to access them, they're redacted. They can't even access their own information. Truly, truly bizarre stuff. Jonaside saying the train spotting bathroom. Yeah, the train spotting and the dirty bathroom. A pirate ship saying, yeah, I totally experienced that. Unsettling. The dirty bathroom. And John Connors thinking he never had these dreams. I'm glad you didn't either, John. I don't know. I've had like a really dirty house where I'm like, where I feel like in like an addict's house where I'm like, I gotta get out of here. What is this? Let's keep listening.
Actually in it. The kids who drank it say they felt heavy afterward, spaced out, like their minds were running at half speed while their bodies sat perfectly still. It was not just cards. They were tested for telekinesis, mind control, the kind of abilities you read about in science fiction, except this was happening in real classrooms. Then came the headphones, massive, padded, vintage military-style headphones placed over their ears. They were told it was an audio test. The sounds they heard were not music. Many now believe they were listening to the Monroe Gateway Experience tapes. Binaural beats designed to alter consciousness and separate the mind from the body.
Like really, this goes beyond reading, writing, and arithmetic, people. They shouldn't be doing binaural beats on your kids without notifying you that that's what they're doing. But this is the same thing. They're looking for talented students. They're looking for people with certain skills. And I think you can see that they find them. And wow. It is just so bizarre that people are comparing notes. And is it a response? I think it's definitely possible to put something, a type of area, a repeated area in someone's mind. And what makes it compelling is it's not just a dream that they have once. It's not just a nightmare. It's repeated. It could be that these gate children were traumatized and it was compartmentalized in ways that they don't know. And this is a response dream. Like often if you're in an abusive family, you'll have dreams of something chasing you all the time, and it only absolves itself when that situation, that abusive situation goes away. I used to have horrible nightmares when I was married to my first husband, like really bad, horrible nightmares, repeated same nightmares. They were really awful. I'd wake up sweating, screaming, really bad stuff. And as soon as I divorced and I moved out on my own, the dreams went away and I've never, ever had them again, over and over. So it could be these gate children are experiencing something that's implanted there, but they're replaying it from the trauma that's never resolved. Or their mind is trying to tell them something that happened to them. And they're trying in a way to explore it safely. I don't know what you think about that idea, but let me know. Anyways, let's keep going.
These same tapes were mentioned in a declassified CIA document called Analysis and Assessment of the Gateway Process. The government was studying how to train psychic spies. The creator of those tapes claimed you could train yourself to leave your body, to astral project, to travel to places that exist outside normal space and time. It sounds like science fiction, but the documentation is real. The US government spent decades and millions of dollars researching psychic warfare and remote viewing. We are talking about military experiments where soldiers tried to stop the hearts of goats using only their minds.
Yeah, the men who stare at goats. I just want to add this, that the you don't actually leave your body when you do remote viewing. At least you're not supposed to. And we watched Ryder Lee's documentary on this sort of gate children, and a lot of them they do a nudge and a wink, like they won't tell you. They'll say, they didn't do intrusive stuff like this. They did, psychic testing and stuff, but they're saying on the books, legit, we didn't do this kind of psychic stuff where you would use that to harm someone or do that. And they kind of wink, read between the lines, like they're saying, we couldn't tell you because it's not on the books. So they're saying without saying that, yes, indeed, the government was doing these sort of experiments where they were training kids to do psychic stuff and do things that would cause harm to other nations, other people, even the kids themselves, that it was invasive and it was aggressive and it was abusive. It may not have started off that way. I think they kind of groom these kids in. And I think we can end that one. We won't keep going over that because it says the same thing. They kind of groom these children. It starts off nice, like, hey, Johnny, we're just going to play a card game, or we're going to look at these books. And then they sort of ease them in. And as it goes on, it gets more aggressive and more aggressive if they find out, through process of elimination, who the more talented psychic kids are. And I think a lot of these poor children in Hollywood are kind of groomed the same way, maybe for different reasons. Like you get your Hayden Panetierres who are groomed, and your Marilyn Monroes, etc., like that. But these gate children, I don't imagine it starts off that way. So some kids might have memories of this where they just drank the drink or did simple things, and maybe they were eliminated from the pool. And as they got who they figured would be the prime students, the stuff got more aggressive. And that's my feels on it. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, or if you have a different perception on it, leave it in the comments, go ahead. But that's Mall World, a place where these kids who are now saying they were tested for all these special abilities, are now meeting in this place, sharing a world, sharing a dreamscape. What does it mean? Is it a way to cope? Is it a way to deal? Possibly. Or is it something real that's been placed in their subconscious through these gate experiments by the CIA or whatever intelligence agencies they have? They probably have, these agencies we don't even know about, that don't even have a name. Black Ops, crazy stuff like that. So we're going to now go into a more creepier area of back rooms. I don't even know if I have any videos of the back rooms, but I'm going to tell you where the back rooms started. And they started on 4chan, like I said earlier, but it was from that picture, and I showed it earlier. It's kind of like the Mall World. We're using liminal spaces, and it's empty and it's creepy. This was posted up on 4chan. And remember, I believe 4chan is infiltrated with these agencies. I'm pretty sure Epstein was on 4chan, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Who knows who posted this and why, but it was posted up there in a response to, hey, show us spaces that just were unsettling. And as you can tell, it's empty. It was actually really an empty store front that was closed down, and it's got this yellowish hue to it. Yellow, yellow, yellow. There's something unsettling about the yellow hue. And from that has expanded all of this stuff. And I'm sure this attaches into Mall World, because that's almost like an empty mall room. It screams Mall World in a weird way. Yeah. Thank you, John Connor, for agreeing with me, backing that up. Remote viewing is not leaving the body, as mentioned. It's using the mind to find the target. Exactly. You don't leave the body. Okay. We got some good comments. Pirate Shipping says, I was segregated into the search program in third grade after taking a standardized bubble in test. And red pill. That is. We also have Anne saying in my day, it was a red pill that kids were given during some kind of teeth exam. Some kids got them and others didn't. It turned the teeth red for some reason. I have had that. They said it shows cavities or something, or where the gums are. So someone could back that up. Let's see. Pirate Shipping Extended said, I fought tooth and nail, and my parents had to fight the school to put me back in standard classes. I had a really bad feeling about being in the search program. Yeah, because it's not normal. And I have a friend who was kind of like GATE program in Canada. He ended up going to Queen Elizabeth but dropped out. It was a special school. I had multiple friends. They had like really violent families and really psychosis, a lot of problems. They were sent to Queenie and it never worked. They ended up getting violent and more violent, and they ended up dropping out. I got sick with chickenpox, like I said, or not chickenpox, measles. So I was gone for a month. So it broke up these testings. They used to take us in with the headphones and testing all of us. And because I had a higher IQ and I did really well in math, but like I said, I was too much of a brat. I was too much of a brat to the teachers. And I was always in the hallways and always, sneaking off to places. It was, yeah. And maybe it was good that I got that, maybe it was good I got the measles. So, not encouraging the measles, guys. Not encouraging. But there is this back to liminal spaces. I just love reading your guys' comments about the mall world and the dangers and the damage that this federal school program did. Because if we hadn't had a federal school program, I don't think this would have been done to kids. So back to this 2019, this shows up on 4chan. People start adding to it, and now it's literally a movie. I can't show you the actual trailer because I'll get copyright, but it's a movie called Backrooms. And it's super creepy. I'm going to see if we can find some footage of this stuff. Did I get the yeah. We do have footage on the Backrooms. And we'll get there. Don't worry. There is Mall World fandoms. There's Mall World websites. I actually signed up for one, but now they won't let me access it. There's also the Backrooms creepypasta. You can find this stuff. You can find people on Reddit talking about their backroom experiences, their Mall World experiences, their gifted program experiences. Excuse me. It's just all over. Okay. I'm trying to find... Let's do the Backrooms. Backroom Wiki. Here we go. Official. They say that the Backrooms is an afterlife. It's not for people, but for places. For every chain storefront demolished, every retail outlet bought out, every dead mall razed to the ground, a limbo for every building without a purpose, those in-between spaces, endless structures so unfathomable yet so clearly man-made, edges in the curtains of memories, corners that open up the seam of reality to let an unlucky wanderer in. Be careful out there. The footsteps that fill these halls may not only be your own. So it's this idea that it's almost like a ghost world or portal that gets created from all these abandoned places that you could kind of just step through in a slit. And in the movie, in the trailer, that's kind of how he enters. He owns a furniture store. And the character sees this kind of slit in the wall with a light behind it, and he gets curious and enters it, and he gets pulled into this back room. And then I don't want to ruin it for you and how crazy it gets, but there's this idea that it's like this alternate universe, alternate world, but you're not dreaming. Whereas Mall World, you're kind of dreaming. And this one, in the movie at least, he's not dreaming. And there was a fellow named Kane Parsons who started to build up this little backrooms kind of channel where he was filming different scenarios with backrooms. And he's the one eventually who, from that on YouTube, developed it into this movie. But we're going to take a look at some different backroom stuff and ideas about opening it up into creepy spaces, slits in the walls, places where you can go that used to exist that no longer exist, that are still there in some kind of phantom world. The book versus the movie Men Who Stare at Goats was way different. And the fact that the movies are telling us that they did this, the goat stuff, where they were literally having them try to, by staring, do harmful things to these goats. They're telling us it. It's like they think it's a joke. It's like, yeah, we did that then, but we're not trying to control you now. We're all good today. Such bullshit. What a bunch of bull. So let's go into our backrooms because it's creepy, and I think it's sort of a fantasy version of Mall World. And this idea of these abandoned rooms, ghostly presence, other portals of what was. Let's kind of look at this one.
Let's talk about what we learned in court today that debunks some.
No, we're not going into court. We're going into a. So this is someone's version of. Okay, and if you are listening, you wouldn't have seen that kind of spookiness, but the disturbing things that can happen in the liminal spaces, the empty space. In graphic design, we would call the liminal space, we would call it white space. And it's not just filled with nothing. It's filled with tension, anxiety, what's between you and the space to where you're getting, what can happen, what energy's there. In this rendition, this little clip, some creepy thing comes out. In the movie, all sorts of strange things begins to happen in these liminal spaces where it seems like there's nothing there, but is there really? And the tension and the fact that you have to traverse that. I mean, I had that once when I was in a subway station. We call it C train station in Calgary in Canada, but where I had to traverse an underground area. And when you get down and the door is way far and it's late at night and you are looking at the door and you have to traverse it, and then you're running around corners and you see somebody there and you're like, is that a person? Is it dangerous? Should I approach them? It's like this anxiety about, urban landscapes and yeah. Well, we got some let's see. We got so many good comments, guys. I'm going to try to get through them. Jonaside says, because of my job, I sometimes walk through empty parking garages and they can get creepy, but I kind of like it, but nothing happens. Liminal space, you could write, I'm sure there's a liminal backroom parking garage space, or there's a parking garage mall world space. Totally creepy. John Carter says, I just remembered H.P. Lovecraft wrote about portals used to cross space and time in his short stories. Dreams in the Witch House. It was made into a TV movie for Masters of Horror anthology series. Are they portals? Can you cross through these back rooms and get somewhere else? Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. This all came out of Creepypasta and 4chan. One image. But in my opinion, it's not just isolated. People don't just put this out there and it's just something silly. I wonder if it was planted there. I wonder if it's planted there so they could kind of plant some kind of scape like this in the minds in like an experiment. Like, where will this go? Will this expand somewhere? What will this turn into? Is it is like a horror genre of its own. These kind of backspaces and liminal space. And I don't want to ruin the movie, so I don't want to get into it, but it is psychotic. Wild theory on backrooms. Oh, here, let's do this one on liminal spaces, because she's kind of does a live liminal spaces in some place. Let's see what she says about backrooms and liminal spaces, and then we'll get into the movie part and a little humor too.
We are going down, deeper back into the tunnels under Dallas. This is the very strange red brick room. I love this. So cool. Empty, of course. Empty, of course. Every door has these weird biometric 24-hour surveillance. Those weird biometric data trackers.
It's almost like an underground world too. I mentioned that to my husband. It's creepy because there's no natural light source. There's no way to get out. It feels like it's underground. And it's interesting that she mentions this liminal space, like there's surveillance, like it's like a subworld. It's like THX 1138, the movie, where they're in this subterranean weird world you can't escape. And the tension that's created looking through these spaces, and there's nobody there, and it feels subhuman. It doesn't feel organic. You're being surveyed by electronic eyes. So the more I look at this, the more I wonder, who put this out on 4chan? Is this a test? I think it might be a test. I don't know. This is a long video, so we're going to have to skip it up ahead.
This is the out of order area. Oh, the lights aren't flashing this time. Y'all see that? Thank you. We're doing our
Okay, let's go ahead and see where she goes, because it's a long video.
In here. I want to get locked in here. Maybe we should. So this is where we came in.
It's like mall world in here. Like totally empty, abandoned underground area of, where did she say? She said Dallas?
I want to show y'all. You should. This is so cool. Oh. Thank you. Thank you, Cedric. Nothing. All right, so wait, this is the cool space. Oh, thank you. Your Halloween plans changed, right? We should have a backrooms party. Oh, I see it. I see it right now. Okay. Yeah, that's a little creepy. We're gonna keep moving.
Some artwork.
Yep. Who needs security when I have y'all? That's an exit. Okay. Lagging again? Okay. Stop. That is so annoying.
There is an exit, but I don't see anything creepy, but you get the idea. It kind of feels like this kind of abandoned sort of landscape. Let's check out this one, though. This one, they're talking about the movie. So if you haven't seen it and you want to see it and you think this might ruin something for you, it's really going to give you an essence of the movie and what goes on in the movie. You'll get a visual. So you might want to pause it, skip forward, but I don't think it gives away too much. But this gentleman is talking about the Backrooms movie and the paranoia and the psychology about it, and how space and light and all that stuff really plays into mind control as well. Mind control.
One backrooms theory you will not be able to convince me out of is that not only was Mary's mom a victim of the backrooms, has been to the backrooms, but one of the entry points to the backrooms was in her own house. Throughout the backrooms, we see flashbacks of Mary when she was younger with her mom at their original house. Through these flashbacks, we see just how paranoid Mary's mom was about not only the outside world, but not exposing Mary to it. She had furniture barricading the doors so no one could leave and no one could come in. She had newspaper articles completely covering the windows as to not let any light in, and Mary, surrounded by dirt dust, clutter, and even moldy food. Mary's mom isn't directly diagnosed with anything in the movie, so we have nothing to go off of outside of the fact that she tells Mary, don't let them in, they can't let them out. Basically tries to instill fear in Mary about the outside world. And I don't believe that's there specifically just for the plot of advancing Mary's character arc. I think that's there for a reason. Why would the writers go through the trouble of giving Mary's mom even just that small little detail of having paranoia, but not give us context as to why, outside of the fact that the paranoia that's ensuing from everybody else in this movie is because of this entity known as the backrooms? So what if Mary's mom entered the backrooms at one point, successfully escaped, and is now having this fear about the outside world because she doesn't clearly understand what the
I'm going to pause it there. They describe the backrooms as an entity. This is totally, if you go and look at The Shining, I'm telling you right now, Kubrick uses liminal spaces. He uses lighting. He uses spatial hallways, twists and turns, basically a layout of a hotel that doesn't make sense. The window that's showing light, there would be no window there to the outside world. This is like that, where the hotel actually has a memory of its own, and it's like an entity of its own, and it switches and it turns and it's changing, and your sanity is being questioned. And this is the backrooms. This is Kubrick was doing this with The Shining, and it's right here in this concept of these backrooms, where it's an actual entity that exists in some kind of other dimension. It may have been an old building. It may have existed at one time as a building in this dimension, but no longer. It is this entity that exists in a different portal. 775 Alan just became a member. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. There's a lot of content to go there through for you. Kudos. Thank you. I just wanted to highlight that up. Thank you so much, 75 Alan. I really appreciate that. It's great. So let's just finish off his theory about the backrooms, about it being an entity, and that her psychosis comes from being uncomfortable in the real world, and that she is blocking everything out, sort of almost trying to recreate it.
Backrooms is, and maybe she thinks that part of it is coming to haunt her now. Maybe her mind is no longer able to draw the line between the backrooms and reality, so now she's losing her mind. And maybe that's why when Clark was explaining to Mary what the backrooms was the first time, she had this very dazed look in her face, like she's trying to make out what Clark is saying while also at the same time mentally drawing a line in her head, like she heard this story before. And why do I think the entry point to the backrooms was in Mary's house? Look no further than the movie itself. That scene when young Mary is in the fetal position in the corner of her own house, and it basically goes to the POV of Mary as the camera shifts down into this next level of Mary's house, which looks like it's starting to erode. But then it goes deeper into another layer of Mary's house where it looks like now it's starting to morph into a backroom area. Then the level goes deeper and deeper and deeper until it is internally engulfed into this entry point into nothing, but it's still in the backrooms. I don't think that scene was there for shock factor. It was there for a reason. And it's telling you exactly what I'm telling you right now. But what do you guys think? Comment down below, let me know.
Very spooky. Very spooky indeed. The backrooms. The concept of spaces as entities. The actual, I'm going to see if I can find that, but the actual creator, Kane Parsons, talked about this concept of rooms having and abandoned spaces not having purposes today. That they're meant for like money or something. They don't have live people in them. And it creates an eeriness about them. It creates a horror about them, and it creates this surreality. You know, there's a lot about the backrooms that's surrealism. That's like a nightmare, like a dream. So if you can just walk into it, are you dreaming? Are you awake? Where's the line? They don't know. They get lost in it. It's like a labyrinth. ever changing. What is real? What is, and then you come back to the real world and you don't even know if that's real or not. Your mind has been shattered. Is this a metaphor for these gate programs, for the MK Ultra, about how they are shifting through your mind? Nietzsche. We could go Nietzsche. Like, are you seeking a monster and it's engulfing you? Are you going to an abyss that's never ending? We've seen countless movies like this. What was that one? Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. I went in theater to see it. Inception? Where he goes into, and you have this thing locked away that's your only contact with reality, and he goes into this thing and he destroys her. It's like a spinning thing. He destroys her reality, and she goes nuts and crazy because he takes it from that vault. It's a really messed up. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But you go to this world where if you're going into these dimensions, what's real? How can you destroy someone's concept of what is real and who they are? You got to wonder if these images and this disturbing stuff is planted, because you never know. 4chan, excuse me, a lot of these servers are, they're just full of assets and agents and Epsteins and all sorts of stuff. That's how they get young kids now. And there's something video game quality. There's some video game quality about it. It's why I don't like to get lost in video games, because there's like the video games are so real today. How do we know what's real? How do we know what exists? Where we're getting lost in a labyrinth of who knows. It's why it's good to get the fuck out and just go for a walk somewhere in reality and not stay in here too much. Get out, say hi, grab a burger, go to an art gallery, guys. If you remember, actually, me and Mr. Incognito went to a fine arts gallery during the week, and I posted. It's like a little museum tour. It's some great Renaissance art, and with the stuff that we're dealing with today, the surrealism art that came out strongly after World War I. Trauma, where people are dismantling the world and turning it into a dreamscape, a horrorscape, dismantling bodies and taking apart the natural creation, what we would call God's creation, and reassembling it in the way that they see fit. Is video game world this? It's their creation, but they're putting it together in this creepy, fucked up way. We get all these weird liminal spaces. We have a mall world, back rooms, the Overlook Hotel. It goes on and on. Nature does help. Thank you, pirate shipping. It does. Ooh, yeah, Anna. There was a movie once, The 13th Floor. I saw it, but don't remember. I know what you're talking about. It was a long time ago, and it was creepy. And Inception. Yep, crazy. The Juno trans girl's in there. Yes. Yes. She's in it. And now she's a he. Very crazy. I got some humor though. We need to see something funny. I gotta check out I'm sure I saved some stuff on Mall World and stuff on YouTube. A lot of stuff there's so much to find about this. People are really into looking at what's going on. I want to look at the back rooms, found footage. Some people meant to Blair Witch Project, the found footage stuff. Back rooms kind of try to present. The guy who did the back rooms movie, he was known as Kane Pixels on YouTube. He has some videos. I'm going to try to find some of his clips. He had found footage clips, all sorts of things. But then he created, basically he was practicing and creating a world on YouTube, filming it. The sound is really bad, but we will play a little clip of it. Hopefully we won't get. See if we can find a shorts. There's a. Okay, I'm going to turn the volume down on this because the sound is really bad on these little ones. We have to remember that they were. We have to remember that they were amateurs, so it's not going to be like the movie. We're going to head over to YouTube and then we'll come back to TikTok. The Backrooms found footage. So this is their little version of the Backrooms. This is the same guy who's directing the big movie now. Started out on YouTube. You got to wonder where he came from. Gonna check out his background. It's very interesting. Some of these film producers. So let's just check out the earlier versions of Backrooms.
Can anybody hear me? Hello? Damn it. What the hell? What the hell? Don't move.
All right. Spooky. It said, don't move, stay still. And then this creature comes out after him. We're not going to stop that one there. So you can see that's the earlier inspiration for the Backrooms. It's like you can feel the tension coming. And they're doing a pretty good job for almost like a student project. Bad sound, a lot of static. But that's the idea. The liminal space creates the tension. And anything can come out of it. And you can bet the movie is... yeah, the electric frequency humming sound. It's hard to know. Annika says, what dreams will haunt today's kids? The malls are mostly gone. Will they be lost forever in video games and coffee shops? Maybe they will have dreams of like a video game landscape that forms in their mind and they go through it to deal with their issues. I mean, a lot of people do video gaming to de-stress. And they go through and they solve things and take out enemies and stuff, and it helps them de-stress. So that's the Backrooms. And that's my light going out. Woo, spooky stuff. Okay, we're going to do one thing, and this actually references the movie. This guy's doing humor. I want to put a little bit of humor spin on it because I don't want to creep you guys out too much, but there's an element of the Backrooms where figures appear in the movie and they're almost like copies, but they're all distorted and their all faces are distorted and it gets really twisted. I don't want to ruin it for you, but this guy kind of makes some fun of that. He says, when you're in the Backrooms and they copied your girl. And here we go. She's looking like an angel. Like 16 eyes.
Can we get something to eat?
He's like, yo, girl, get away from me. This stuff kind of reminds you of like Coraline, where they go into this other dimension and there's just something wrong and they can feel like something's off, like their parents are weird and things are strange. And the back rooms. There's copies of people in there that you encounter, but they're distorted and they're like digitally like messed up. Like it's like a skewed tape or something's gone, a mutation of digital sorts or something like that in this back room. Very strange stuff. From 4chan to creepypasta to YouTube to a movie. But does that tie into the same concept behind, are they putting this stuff into our minds via movies the way that they put stuff into gay children's minds in one-on-one programming? Is this a control factor as well? I don't know. Who is Kane Parsons? Look him up. Who is Kane Parsons? Because he's quite young. Kane Parsons, known online as Kane Pixels, is an American YouTuber, filmmaker, composer, and visual effects artist celebrated for creating the viral analog horror web series Backrooms, inspired by that picture I showed you guys. He's only 21 years old. Could he have been a gay kid? He's only 21. He's quite young. He's the same age as my son. He was born in 2005. That's probably why my son wanted to go see the movie, because he hates his father was a visual effects artist and his mother is a therapist. They divorced when he was 7 years old. Parsons attended Martin School of the Arts at Novato High School. Is that a special school? It's a public high school. No, it's public. California, and it's home to Marin School of Arts. It's part of the Novato Unified School District. There you go. Let's see. It has a 30-acre site, 2 gymnasiums, state-of-the-art science center, 2 performing arts science center, 5 computer centers, a library with a computer lab, dance studio, weight room. It's quite the fancy school, if I could be really honest with you. Yeah. So he is quite young, and he's done this movie. He became interested in it when he was quite young, 2019. That means he was like 12 or 13. Found footage, ongoing web series. Within a month of the release of found footage, Parsons was contacted by numerous studios regarding a feature film adaptation. He was scouted by Lucas Ford, an assistant at 21 Laps Entertainment, in charge of flagging interesting materials and creators. Parsons' parents joined him for his initial Zoom meeting with the studios. A film adaptation was announced as a joint production between A24, Sharon Entertainment, Atomic Monster, and 21 Laps Entertainment. They literally had a 20-year-old directing this directorial debut. Very interesting. It grossed $382 million worldwide. At 20 years old upon the film release, Parsons became the youngest director to have a film open at number 1, surpassing 27-year-old Josh Trank. So very interesting. Very young, ingenue, scouted. I don't know what you guys make of it. I don't know what you guys make of it, but that is interesting. So young. Scouted out. It seems like it's not necessarily a private school, but it seems like a very special school. And I'm going to try to find a little video of him so you can see who he is. Get a sense of him. Escape rooms. That's another thing that's big. It's weird that all this stuff is out there. It's creepy. It's beyond surrealism. I just want a short. So we just want a quick interview with him. Okay, here we go. We got a 40-second clip. Thank you, Psyche Sonic. We got a 40-second clip. We're going to switch back over. I don't want it too long, but I just want you to get a sense of this guy. You guys can tell me what you think, but I do find it interesting that we got a young guy who is directing. It's pretty young. Kane Parsons says, Backrooms has secrets left. Let's check it out.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Backrooms started, when it comes to, you know, beginning a mystery project, which is kind of at large a little bit what Backrooms is. It has a lot of components. I start from the ending, and the goal has always been to, you know, reverse engineer from that. And over the years, everything that I've done has kind of been a part of a, you know, a plan and a timeline that has not yet been completed. And just got me. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, just got me. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Backrooms started. When it comes to, you know, beginning a mystery project, which is kind of at large a little bit what Backrooms is. It has a lot of components. I start from the ending, and the goal has always been to, you know, reverse engineer from that. And over the years, everything that I've done has kind of been a part of a, you know, a plan and a timeline that has not yet been completed. And so the intention has always been, like, most of this was structured in 2022, and it's just been refined since then. So. You know, with this film coming out and where we are now, it's still very much in keeping with that original plan. So, on the narrative creative side, there's certainly stuff to get to the bottom of that we haven't done yet. So,
just got my friends at school one day just to stand around, and they didn't really know what it was for exactly. I was doing it on my phone, and I ran the whole thing through the VCR. And I just, like, at the end of it, just make the camera go to the ground.
VCR?
And, like, what was that?
Wow.
Why did you do that? And it's like I'll show you in a few days. Just got my friends at school one day.
Most exciting part was probably having the physicality of everything really brought in a, you know, I think it was physically realizing what has previously been pretty insulated and kind of abstract. I mean, it's purely digital before, and this kind of goes without saying, but being able to bring so many people into an environment where we're all collectively thinking about this project and living in the physicality of this project really allows for it to grow in a way that I think just it fosters a sort of subconscious realism, I'd say, that I really appreciated. Most challenging part would be probably matching the fidelity of continuity and micro details and whatnot. I think we got there, but like making sure that the film lives in the same canonical and energetic world as the shorts. There's ways in which that could go wrong, but we exercised, you know, a lot of energy in making sure it didn't. So
very well spoken, very smart kid. I don't know. That's the Backrooms, folks. Now I know why my son wanted to go see it, because he's the exact same age as my son. Actually, he reminds me of his son a little bit. He's a little bit more well-versed than my son is. But you can see this is where they're going. Watch this guy. Watch Kane Parsons. Keep an eye on what kind of projects he does next as a director, because this is really young. This is exceptionally young to get into your own feature film. You would expect him to be in film school right now, you know, so watch where this guy goes in the future, because it's interesting that he grabbed a hold of this and created it. You just got to wonder. And I think this is common too. It's not that Kane Parsons or anyone is in on the gag. I think they try things, trial and error, and they put things out on things like 4chan, and they see where they can go with it and see what people can do with it. And then they kind of can re-uptake and harness what has become popular, what people are grabbing onto, how can they manipulate things, right? It is strikingly interesting that that picture first appeared on 4chan. Like I'm saying, 4chan is not... Yeah, 4chan is Fed run, and they're all on there. These people have all sorts of accounts. Creepy, disturbing, strange stuff. Mall world, Backrooms, exploration of a dream world planted in people's minds, possibly. Now with Backrooms, is this planted in our minds? People seem to have a fascination for it in the past 5 years, for sure. With escape rooms, this kind of weird trap, and it's playing out like a video game Are we being MK Ultra'd by this? I don't know. But the idea is it's not just like Inception. It's abandoned, and you notice that with a thing like The Shining, when they're living in a hotel, it's abandoned. Essentially, everyone's gone home. It's shut down for the winter. Everybody's gone. It's cleared out. It becomes another world, another thing, another place, almost like a breathing, living entity, and they have to endure this and face madness. It's always there, where we are going to go mad and crazy. It's in Edgar Allan Poe. This psychology, it may come out in different ways in different films, in different literature, whether it's Macbeth or The Telltale Heart. But here in this new modern scape, we have this really strange exploration of abandoned buildings, abandoned malls, this emptiness, this void of any community, of life, fear of being trapped in things, this horrible fear of loneliness that's playing out. And you got to wonder what's the premise of it. Pirate Shipping says, anytime. I explore this subject matter in many ways over quite some time, having experienced so much of this weirdness. And it can't be the easiest thing to explore, especially if you're in a GATE program and you've been pumped through all of this stuff, whether we are talking about Mall World, now Backrooms. I wouldn't be surprised if people are now dreaming of backrooms. And you can find this stuff in the real world. You can find abandoned malls, empty places where it's weird. Like I said, me and my husband were at the VA, and I was going down all these hallways while he was picking up a prescription, and it felt like some kind of creepy, haunted, liminal space. Data centers. My husband had creepy, weird experiences at data center. A haunting at a data center. We hear people talk about abandoned warehouses with ghostly figures in them all the time. I've seen so many ghost stories about this. It leaves people at unease, but it is interesting to note that at some point, these agencies are putting these kind of things right in your mind, right in children's minds, using space to manipulate people. They know that space manipulates people. Space, lighting, decor. It's something we should probably follow up on. I don't know. I keep saying that and then I forget. I don't even know what next week's topic is, but I can tell you for sure, next week we will be live at 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Clusterfuck. I believe I'm redoing the Walter Bosley show this coming Friday, and he may do it live. I haven't heard back from them, so we'll see. We're going to be talking about Age of Aquarius and strange things. I'm also going to be on Forbidden Knowledge Network September 4th. Pre-recording, so it should be up. I'll share the link with you guys. So remember, subscribe, thumbs up to the show. We're going to tie this up. Our creepypasta, creepy mall world, exploring the human psychology show. And I thank you guys once again, of course, for being on the show. And I thank you for our new member, 75 Alan. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy all the content if you're at that level. Yeah, you'll see me with Walter. And I should get Walter on here. Walter's in that documentary on the GATE program, so maybe I should get him on and talk about a little more GATE, because people seem to be very interested. So maybe I'll ask Walter if he wants to come on as well. I think a lot of people, my husband, any military people, I think a lot of them have had some experience, but they can't remember and they don't know and they're struggling. And Mall World might be the place where they go to deal with this or explore it in a way that feels safe, or it could be an implanted program into their mind. Maybe we'll never know, but we'll keep exploring it as well. And then we'll leave and get out into a brighter, happier world. And I think you guys, I'm going to tie this up. Tie this up, because my dogs, I can hear them crying out there. They're like, you get the hell out of Mall World and come out here and let us go to the bathroom, lady. We've had enough of you. I will see you guys next Sunday, though. 5 p.m. Eastern. I'll announce the topic during the week, and we'll get a member show out. Thanks so much, guys. Cheerios.